Yeah, so welcome back to my channel, guys, and also welcome back to a whole new video. Basically, my name is Jeswar. In this video, basically what I'm gonna be doing is like I'll be telling you about my experience of writing the one of the most popular exams all around the world, the one of the most hyped exams all around the world. It's called IELTS, and my hometown people call it IELTS. I'm here to describe my experience, how I did that. But before I head on, let me tell you the answer to a question which I asked on my Instagram page a few days back. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure that you follow me on there as well. If you want to be like directly be connected to me, I'll just put it on here so that you can just have a look into it. So how it usually went was like I asked a question on my Instagram page. The question was very simple. I asked, how much do you think you can score on an IELTS exam if you satisfy two conditions? The first condition said you're supposed to write it for the very first time, it's your very first attempt, and the second question said you're not supposed to go for any coaching classes. You're not supposed to spend money and go for any tuition classes. You're supposed to do everything by yourself. So that was a simple question I asked on my Instagram page, and I'll show you the percentage of response that I got. So I'll just put it up here. This is not based on 5 or 10 words. I literally got 70 to 80 words at least, and I had to take this percentage out of that. And so this is what I meant to say. Without coaching classes, without any second attempts, the majority audience in my followers were able to believe that they can score 5 to 7 bands in IELTS. If you know about IELTS, you know what I'm speaking about. That's what exactly it is all about. Even with practice, you can end up scoring 9. I got a friend, one of my responses was they didn't practice anything, same exact conditions which I said, they scored 8.5. I'll show you the message, I'll just drop it down here because this is true and truly my followers have got this. One of my friends got 8. I got 7.5 without practice, without spending money. I mean, I did practice, I mean to say, without going to coaching classes, without actually going for a second attempt. In the very first attempt I got that much grades. So if I can do that much, then why not you? So it's basically, I'm not here to give you any financial advice. I'm trying to give you a basic understanding that this exam doesn't deserve the hype that it needs, like it is getting. You know what I'm going to do in this video? Before we head on to the video, let me just tell you, if you are someone who wants to write the IELTS exam and you want to go for coaching classes, trust me, this video is not for you. You can skip the video, you can just leave the video. This video is for anyone who wants to do the grinding by themselves, who want to sit at home and actually study by themselves rather than paying money and wasting their money around. So this is only for them. If you're not that type, if you feel like you're not confident enough to do things on your own, I'm giving you the disclaimer right there, right before I even start with the topic. So what is IELTS? You know IELTS, right? IELTS is just a standardized English test that you need to write if you want to move abroad. There are 2 ways of moving abroad as of now. The very first way is moving for a career, for a better career, and the second reason is for immigration purposes. Now IELTS has 2 ways of writing it. Like there are 2 types of IELTS right now at the moment. One is academic and one is general. So if you are someone who is a student and all who just wants to move to an English speaking country for higher studies or maybe a better career growth or anything like that, that's when you write the academic IELTS, because it's supposed to be testing your intelligence, your thinking ability and all of that. But if you're supposed to be just immigrating, you're just changing the country, you just want to move into a new country and start your family or something like that, that's when you write the general IELTS. It is not really as strict as the academic one, but it has a few limitations. Basically, the general ones cannot be recognized into an institution. So if you write a general exam, you can never use that result to apply for education abroad. Both are for specific purposes. You know what? Like the exam is very similar. Like only 10% difference is there between both. The very first difference is basically in the general one, instead of writing an essay, they just have a letter writing. In academic, it's an essay writing. That's how it goes. That's the only difference it has. And slight differences in reading portion, and speaking a little bit maybe. How it goes is like for speaking and all, they won't check too much of a grammar, but if it's an academic one, they are gonna check grammar really, really well. Like they wanna make you pay for speaking with the wrong things. Those are the few differences that you have. It is understood that general, the people who are writing this IELTS general are not supposed to be really well versed with English. They just need to communicate. That's exactly what IELTS is for. You have to communicate your ideas to English speaking people because you're moving to an English speaking country. I'm talking about Canada, United Kingdom, United States, Germany. Germany, it's okay. Australia, New Zealand. If you wanna be moving to one of those English speaking countries, that's when you have to write IELTS. It's not just IELTS, there are a lot more other standardized tests, like TOEFL is there, GRE is there, I think CELPIP is there, Duolingo is there, but IELTS is like one of the most popular ones. IELTS and TOEFL. You can consider which is best for you and you can go on with that. In this video, I'm talking about IELTS because that's what I wrote and I'll be speaking about that mainly. I'll be dividing this video into 3 parts. The first part is how I actually prepared for the test. The second part says how was my experience, and the third part will say about like what I learned from my experience and what I want you to be doing it. You know what? While the time of recording this video, it is 20th of October here in 2023, and I remember I did my IELTS exam on 12th of October 2021. So it's been exactly 2 years since I wrote my exam, and my exam results have finally been expired. If you all know, IELTS rule is very simple. After 2 years of writing the exam, the scores just get expired. You cannot use the score anymore. I cannot use the score anymore. If I want to write, if I need to use the score somewhere, I need to write the exam once again. That's how it goes. So yeah, it was a long journey for me, and finally I'm here doing my masters in Canada as an international student at Northeastern University. Right now I'm in Toronto and making this video for you all guys. So yeah, let me head on to my experience, how I prepared for my test. So I remember it was 2021 September 15th or 16th or something like that. That was the date when I actually booked the test for me. I was sure that I'm gonna do a computer-based test because I was like more comfortable doing it on a computer rather than doing it on a paper. I'm really bad at writing and everything. So I was really good at typing, and I was like, why not? If you are really good at computer, then why not go for a computer-based test? Yeah, I was very sure about that. But I did review a few videos just to be sure of the decision I'm making, and I was happy that I made the right decision. So I booked the date for 12th of October. That was like around 21 to 21 days from the date I actually booked the exam. So yeah, that's how it was. I booked my exam at Kerala. In Kerala, that's my hometown. That's where I was staying at that time. The time slot that I got was for 9 a.m. in the morning. And speaking I didn't get, because how it goes is like you don't get it immediately. It is assigned to you automatically when the test is about to happen. Like I got it like 3 days before the test. So it just happens. For some people it will be like 1 day before the test. Some people it would be the same day they will be told that you are having speaking the same day. It's like it will be within a window of 7 days, like either before the test or 7 days after the test. Within that 14-day gap, it's gonna be speaking for you. That's how it goes. That's the rule. And I gave the IELTS for IDP because IDP owns the IELTS within India. That's how it goes. And you know what, like the very first thing I did was turn into YouTube and watch all that YouTube videos in English and everything. I watched whole lot of videos to understand the slang, the accents and everything, how people use it. It's not just I watched Indian English or something like that. I watched American English, PewDiePie and all of that, the most popular channels, one of the most popular channels of there. Then I watched a few sports and everything. I used to watch sports, Premier League and Champions League and everything. So like I always used to watch sports commentary and everything. So I was used to hearing English. It's not that I'm hearing English for the first time or anything. I also made sure that I'm started watching these news channels and everything, BBC News, CNN and all of that, just to get an idea of about what are the vocabulary, just to enhance the vocabulary I had, whatever is it. So just to get used to those English terms sometimes, which is being used more often by the anchors and everything, just to get an idea of how they put it into sentences and everything. Yeah, I did that part. Then another thing that I did during my week 1 was I made sure that I'm reading a lot of blogs. I had this habit of watching a lot of tech related videos if any update comes up, maybe there's an Apple event, or maybe there's a whole new device which has been launched, a whole new update from any of the software companies or anything like that, or maybe comparisons between this and this device. I used to watch that a lot. A lot of those videos. Everything was in English, and sometimes I used to usually find blogs where you can read it. So that is one way you can help. You can like prepare yourself for the reading test. The week one was basically just for preparing myself, setting my mind into the scenario. 3 weeks is left. Not enough time. 3 weeks is really less, trust me. I have heard about people giving 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, for me, I still had the time, but I thought about doing it within 3 weeks because I wanted to apply for universities as soon as possible. And yeah, that's how it usually goes. Everyone has their own story, but for me, I decided to go that way. I also made sure, like, also by the end of this week one, I made sure that I'm starting to watch those YouTube channels which I need for the exam now. The very first channel that I would recommend is IELTS Liz, because here a lady is there who is just talking about the basics which is required for the IELTS exam. She just explains a lot of things in a very simple manner. And after that, like what I did is like started watching another channel called E2 IELTS. How it went for me was like it was basically getting to know tricks and tips and everything, all of that, how to manage time and everything, all those like advanced concepts. It's not the basic concept. Like you get basic concept there as well, but it's like you know the understanding, but you don't know how to implement it during the test. So that one particular channel helped me to figure it out properly. So yeah, that's how I did that. Then I started watching all those things and started getting used to the pattern of the exam. The exam has a very simple pattern. 1 hour for listening, 1 hour for reading, 1 hour for writing, and speaking is different. So that's how it usually goes. 1 hour for each and every section. I just get used to it. 3 sections, 2 sections, how many questions are there, how much time you're supposed to give for one question. And that was basically what I did during my week one, just getting used to it. Then the week 2, that is like 2 weeks left now from the exam, that's when I started giving mock test. I gave my very first mock test, and you know what? My overall score without practice, my very first mock test was overall of 4.5 bands or something like that. And the universities asked for 7. I was literally shattered, to be honest, because the score I got was 4.5. Listening I got for 5 or something like that. It's okay to have low scores, but I was still happy with the decent scores that I had for listening. But in terms of reading, it was like really low. It went as low as 2.5, and I was like, wow, this is just too low. So 2.5 literally blew my mind, and it was like a wake-up call for me to start practicing as much as possible. I didn't do speaking and writing because these are 2 things which we cannot do by ourselves. Like we need someone else to judge the performance and tell us where we need help. And I was doing everything by myself, so I prioritized to not do it right now, keep it for the end, and do the other things which are doable from my end. So I did the mock test. For mock test, what I would use is like use the IELTS Cambridge book that we get. It is the IELTS 15 which one I was having at that time. I think by now you should have got 16, 17, 18, whatever is it. But how it goes is like there would be 4 to 10 mock test papers inside every book. So what I used to do is like if one book is finished, I'll go to the previous year to start like keep on doing the mock test and keep getting used to new questions and new patterns and everything, because there's a good chance that once you get used to it, you will know how to manage a certain scenario when you're actually writing the exam. So 2 weeks are left, and it was a wake-up call. I started doing 2 mock tests for reading every day because I knew that it needed a lot more practice. That's what mock test is for. Once you write the mock test, right, you get enough idea about where you need more practice and where you don't need very much practice. So I understood that listening was something that I was really already good at, but reading was something that where I was like really terrible. So I had to prioritize doing extra practice for reading. I did all that extra practice, and at the end of week 2, what happened is like somehow my listening got up to a level of like 7. 7 is really good, to be honest. Like at that point when you have just done a few mock tests and you're feeling confident. But in reading, it was still not up to the mark. From 2.5, it just went up to 4 at the end of week 2. Now, like I was still like a little bit alarmed about the situation because only 1 week is left. And now what I'm going to do in that 1 week. I knew that I left everything. I started prioritizing, practicing over these things. This is the time when I stopped doing the practice for listening and started doing the practice for speaking and writing. I didn't do writing, to be honest. I just started looking at the videos. So if you see, there are a lot of ample of videos on YouTube about how the speaking is done. You'll find a lot of mock interviews on YouTube where you can see what is expected from a speaker, from a candidate. If you need 7 bands, if you need 6 bands, if you need 8 bands, you can just look at those videos and understand where you lie. And what I used to do is, like, whenever that mock interview is going, I used to watch those mock interviews on YouTube, and whenever the examiner asks a question to the candidate, I'll just pause the video right there and try to virtually imagine that I'm the candidate and try to answer those questions without even letting the candidate speak for that. Whatever answers I had, just to get an idea about where I lie. So initially it was a little bit difficult, but like after a few videos and everything, I started getting used to it. It just became as usual for me. So that's how it went. And in terms of writing, I still didn't start and all, but I was doing another thing, that is, like, even though I was not practicing it, I was still watching the videos of writing, how people are doing it, how sample answers are being written. I try to understand the pattern of the answers. A lot of questions are there. What is expected from you as a writer? A lot of things were there. Like, I was trying to understand all of that. And yeah, that's how it usually went. The last week, every day, 2 mock tests for reading, 1 mock test for listening, 1 mock test for speaking. No mock test for writing yet. I kept doing that until the end of week 3. Now only 2 days were left. The last 2 days were really hard for me. I started sleeping less, probably just 4 to 5 hours of sleep for the last 2 days. That's my way of, like, looking into things. Sometimes if I feel like I have to be serious, I start prioritizing doing a little bit extra studies rather than sleeping for those 2 days, because I know that those 2 days are gonna count a lot. Like, they're gonna be of a much bigger value in the long run. So I decided to not to sleep too much on those 2 days. That's exactly there's a reason, was like I was still not up to the mark. My reading came up to around 5.5, I guess. It is decent, but still not decent enough to get into a university. You need at least a 6.5. I kept on doing the mock test as usual. 2 to 3 mock tests for reading every day until the last day. And I did that, and the exam day arrived, and yeah, that's exactly what I did. The day before the exam day, I didn't stress too much, to be honest. Like, as we keep hearing from the experts, it's not really a good idea to stress your mind too much. I just basically tried to do one mock test for everything and try to get to know strategies a little bit, like revise the strategies, whatever I had. The last day, again, I slept late, around like 1 a.m. or something like that, and woke up around like 5 a.m. or something like that. Yeah. So 4 hours of sleep again. I woke up, my test was at like 9 a.m. I revised all the things before leaving the house and everything. It's not like I'm memorizing anything. What I mean to say by revising is like understanding what I went through, like what all were the strategies, how I had to manage the time. There is another thing I have to mention. Initially, what I used to do was like reading and listening. What I used to do was I would not use a clock for the very first time. So the time limit is 1 hour, but I will end up completing the test around like in 1.5 hours, which is not acceptable. I decided like to challenge myself by putting a clock right in front of me. So initially it was really tough, but eventually I started getting used to it and getting results even if the clock was there. So that's exactly what I would suggest you. Try to give leniency at first and then start challenging yourself into harder situations where time is less. If the actual exam time is 1 hour, try to challenge yourself to 55 minutes. Try to complete the test within 55 minutes. That will give you much more confidence to complete the test on time when you are actually writing the test, because your presence of mind is very important when you're writing that test, which requires time management and everything. You shouldn't be like confused about all those extra doubts. Shouldn't come into your mind when you're actually writing the test. That's it. I arrived at the test center half an hour before, and by the time test center opened and everything, all that, they checked my passport and everything, and yeah, I started writing the exam. There were a few more candidates. It was a computer-based test. Part 1 is basically how I prepared for the test. Now part 2 is the experience I had while writing the test. the exam began at 9 a.m. The very first thing that we had was listening. I felt that the listening was really good. Like if I feel like the answer has passed and we are going into the next answer, I'll just select the answer of whichever I felt is like okay, because it's a multiple choice question and sometimes the luck works out for you. So that usually worked out a lot for me while I was doing the mock test and everything. So that's exactly how I managed at that point. And another thing is like while listening, like I had to make sure that my concentration is not going anywhere. Headphones were there, and I don't have to write it on paper. I can write. I have the paper, but I'm a computer-based. It's a computer-based test, so I just have to click on the right option. It was far more superior and far more easy for me rather than writing on a paper, which is a lot more hassle. So yeah, that's how it goes. And I completed that in time, exactly how it is expected. If I correct, there is no extra time for computer-based people because you don't have to write it on a paper. You just have to select the options and done. That's it. 1 hour test was done. Then we came to reading. 3 questions, 3 passages were there. I was afraid because all were long passages, but I was happy because the monitor was big enough to see the passage on the left end. This was the left end for me. And on the right, I can see the question. So it was not affecting my overall experience to look for a paragraph and look for the answer or something like that. It's a real big screen, so you won't regret about choosing computer based. And you can, I think, if I'm right, you can even resize the divisions if you want the paragraph to be smaller in size and the questions to be larger in size. You can do all of that within the screen. But for me, it made a lot more sense because when you're writing a paper-based test, right, you will have to flip the paper each and every time just to see the passages and maybe just to get the answers and all of that. But in terms of computer, you don't have to do that. On the left side, you can see passages there. On the right side of the screen, you can see the answers, like the questions are there. You just have to find the answer just by scrolling. It's a lot more convenient for anyone who knows to use computer. So yeah, it was way better than my mock test, to be honest. How it went was like during mock test, I always be confused about the answers. And even here, confusion was there, but it was less compared to whatever I had during my mock test and everything. Somehow I ended up getting answers at the right time. Like I'm getting the answers in order. The first answer is there in the first paragraph. The second is there in the second paragraph. It was like that. Everything was coming in order, and it helped me to finish the test again on time. The first passage, I think it should take around like 15 minutes. I ended up taking 20 minutes for the first one. The second one is not supposed to be like there is no limit for it, but it's like for 3 passages, one of the passages would be really lengthy and long. For the second one, I took around like 25 minutes, and whatever time was left, 15 to 20 minutes, 15 minutes I guess, that I kept for passage 3. And I think if I'm right, I ended my reading test right 30 seconds before the exam ended. I didn't have enough time to check the answers, to be honest, but I was pretty sure that whatever I wrote, most of them were right, because answers were just coming up for me. So yeah, that's how it went for me. And in terms of writing, I would say, again, something that I think I missed out on telling you while doing the preparation, I was just looking at the sample answers. I never practiced it properly. Like maybe I wrote it once or twice or typed it on my computer and everything just to practice, but I never practiced by looking at mock test and everything. I just looked at the sample papers and just tried to understand how the pattern is going for the answers, for the essays and everything. During the test, 20 minutes has to be given for the summary. Summary was easy for me. Again, some data analysis was there, some chart was given. I had to compare the data within that and try to come out with observations what I have and everything, just to give a whole data analysis about whatever is there present in the question. After that part was done, I started doing the second essay. I don't remember what exactly it was, the question was, but I remember one thing, a very big mistake from which I got I almost did that mistake. The question was something, I understood it to be something else. Like I took it in my mind, I understood it in a different way, and I started writing the exam. I typed the whole essay, like the limit is for 250 words, I guess, a minimum of 250. I settled it around 270, 280 if I'm right. After writing it, only 10 minutes are left, 10 to 15 minutes are left for the exam to end. I felt like it's good enough, but then I read the question once again properly and I realized that whatever I wrote was not really relevant. So I understood that if I submit this writing right now, it's gonna come up as a straight zero or something like that. Like it may come, a few grades will come, but it's gonna be really less because it's not even relevant to what was being asked in the question. So what I did was like just because it's a computer-based test, I backspaced all that irrelevant information and started writing very fastly. I started typing everything so fast that somehow by the end of the test, right before 30 seconds again, I completed the whole thing and just submitted it. This is one thing where I would like to give an advantage to the computer-based. If it was paper-based, we don't have enough time to erase the answers with the help of eraser or whatever is it, or if you have a whitener, it's going to be so bad and things are going to be so untidy and it will be a mess for you. That's where computer-based test is going to make a lot more sense because you can backspace all the relevant information and still add the relevant even if the time is less. That's it, and the test was over. I had a good experience. My expectation was a listening of 8.5, not even 8. I thought like listening was really good. I wanted to have 8.5. My expectation for reading was 6.5 at least, and my expectation for writing was 6.5 again because I did make that mess and somehow I like figured it out and I didn't want to like that. Those were my expectations, the least I had. After that, I had to go around. Like the examiner told me like now you have 6 hours left because my speaking was allotted for 3 p.m. on the same day, 12th of October. I had to go to a nearby cafe or something like that and sit there for a while. I went and had a lunch at the cafe and I was basically looking at the YouTube stand-up videos. I was not really looking into how mock tests are being done because I knew that this is not the time where you're supposed to learn strategy. This is a time where you have to keep your presence of mind really open as much as possible. Try to be positive. So I started watching those English-based stand-up comedies, Indians or not, whoever is it. I started watching a lot of the stand-up comedies and my mind really became refreshed by the time I was about to go for speaking. And I arrived at the speaking and I had to use my passport to get into it. So if I'm right, it was a British lady who was taking the speaking for me. How it went was like the task one was again introducing yourself and the things around you. She asked me my name, my city, where I'm from, what I'm doing and all of that. And basically after task one, we went into the second section of the speaking, which was about like giving your card or anything. It will have a task and you have to speak on it about for 1 or 2 minutes. Now, here's a catch. People think that you just have to speak for 1 minute and stop it. But trust me, that's not the task. The task is you have to keep speaking as long as possible. So even if the information is irrelevant, keep speaking, it's okay. Because they are not here to check the legibility of what you're speaking. They are not here to check the data that you are like collecting from. They are here to check how good you are presenting it to them. They are checking the grammar that you're using. They're checking the language that you're using, your vocabulary and everything. So it all comes under that. And I was sure like I wanted to use idioms in my test, but my presence of mind and maybe it was all of that, like everything was not letting me because that is not my natural me. I never used too much of idioms in my normal conversations. I was being natural during that time. The task that I got was like, if a product is being sold and the customer service is there for that product, how much important do you think that customer service is for the product? How much relevant is it? So I decided to speak on that and I kept on speaking around for like around 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. She was not stopping. I kept on speaking again and again and suddenly instead of stopping me, she pointed out something that I told during my conversation, like during my whatever I was speaking, and she pointed it out and asked me the question out of it. Like for example, I said something and she pointed that thing and asked me question. And again, like I had to make up an answer and somehow answer it. And then she started like bombarding with questions on top of it, like question again and again and again. And somehow I had to make up the answers for that. Somehow like I managed to like, although it was not very accurate, but my idea was to somehow present it very well. That's all I knew. Because customer service, again, you know, a few concepts that you need. Talk about positivity, everything, all of that. Customer satisfaction, all those basic things connected somehow the other way. That's exactly what I did during that. And task 3 was also done after that. She was like, okay, yeah, it was a good chat being with her. And she told me, yeah, that's it for my speaking. And I left the center thinking about how good it was, because I thought like it was really good compared to what I was expecting it to be. And I was expecting a speaking of 7 minimum. And now I'll tell you how much I got. I waited for 12 days to get my results. And my results came, and it was like listening of 8. I was expecting 8.5. I got it 8. I was expecting a reading of 7, but I was happy I got 7.5. Another thing was writing as expected. I got 6.5. I would have liked to have a little bit more than that, because like I don't like going below 7, to be honest. But yeah, even for speaking I got 7. So that was the score, and overall it came up to 7.5 for me. Now, what does 7.5 say? I can apply to any of the best universities all around the world with the score, because it's good enough to apply in everywhere. The universities ask for a minimum of 7, and the best universities around the world ask for a minimum of 7.5. Colleges in Canada usually ask for 6.5. I think 6.5 is enough with a minimum of 6. But for universities, 7 is expected with a minimum of 6.5. So in terms of writing, I was in the borderline, but my overall was really good. So that was the first hurdle that I passed towards becoming an international student in Canada. So now I'm here doing my masters. That was my whole experience of giving the IELTS exam. Again, I realized it's not worth it to spend money on that. It's a very basic test. You are giving 10 times effort on doing your BTech and your higher school education. This is 10 times easier than that. So for something that is easier than that, you're ready to spend money. It depends on to you. Like if you want to spend money and you want to go for coaching classes, if you're not confident, it's totally up to you. I don't mind like suggesting you to do that shit. But if you're someone who can actually manage the whole stuff by yourself, I would highly suggest do the thing by yourself. Yeah. So I even got a lot of my friends who wrote the test. They also got 7 and 7.5. They got 7.5. I got 7.5. You know what's the difference? The difference is like I studied in my room and they studied in someone else's room. That's the only difference. And for that they had to pay extra 10,000, 20,000, whatever Indian rupees is that. For me it's a lot. Maybe for you it's not. But yeah, whatever is it. If you feel like you want to save money, it's not just about saving money. It's about getting that self-confidence that you can do things on your own. That's exactly why I'm here. I did the whole process by myself, and I'm confident that if I can do that, even you can do that. This is the very first stage I am bringing here on the table. Whatever I did in my past, and I'm sure that you're going to succeed if you're going to do it by yourselves as well. Just make sure that you're making the right efforts, and if you want me to be explaining you the whole paper, how the pattern is, everything, what is expected on each and every sections of the IELTS exam, just put it down on this comment section, and if it's doable, I'll make sure that I'm making a video on that as well. Yeah, that's how it goes. Now the third part is the final part. What are the learnings that I got from writing this test? So there are a few learnings, a few suggestions that I have from my own experience. So I gave 3 weeks of time for myself. Whatever suggest is, give at least a month's time. 3 weeks is good enough for you to practice and get into a position where you can actually get the test and get good marks. But 4 weeks is going to give you that headroom to prepare a little bit more and be confident for yourself. So being confident is the biggest factor in this exam. It's not about speaking very good or something like that. Everyone knows to speak English. It's just about whoever is confident is going to portray the ideas brilliant. Who is not confident is anyhow, even if he knows the English, is going to stumble in front of someone else if he has to speak English. That's how it goes. That's my experience. That's what I learned from my experience as well. Also, one more suggestion I have is start doing writing a little bit early. I didn't practice enough for writing. I kept writing until the end, but it's better if you start doing writing from your very first week onwards, because writing is somewhere where you have to create your mindset. Like you have to keep doing it in a way so that you can get used to it. And if you are good at writing, it's gonna help you in the longer run. You're gonna use that writing skill all across in your life. You're gonna use it when you're doing thesis or anything in your masters, in your higher studies or anything like that. You're gonna use that writing skills when you have to write a letter to anyone. You're gonna use those writing skills if you wanna write an article or anything like that in future. So it's gonna help you a lot in the longer run. And these are the learnings I had basically from my experience. And again, at the end, I'm sure that if you watch till the end, it's because you know whom you are watching. If you believe that you can do it, trust me, like it's possible. If I was able to do it, you can see me here, downtown, sitting in downtown, being proud of myself for whatever I did 2 years back. So that's how it goes. So make sure that you are doing everything at the right time and showing the right attitude towards it. So yeah, again, if you like this video, make sure that you actually like the like button, and make sure you subscribe to my channel as well. And if you have any questions, any suggestions you want me to make a new video, you can just drop down your comments, and if it's doable, I'll make sure that I'm making a video on it. And I'm slowly trying to be a little bit more consistent, and finally I started getting into the core topics of what I wanted to do on my videos. So like until now I was making videos on non-educational stuff and everything, getting a job or something like that. I keep doing that vlogging post maybe at some point, but this is what I was actually meaning to do all this time. Again, follow me on Instagram, stay connected. I keep posting questions up there so that I can get to know what exactly you need. And yeah, that's my closest audience at the moment. Even you are. Stay subscribed and help my channel grow a little bit faster. Yeah, that's how it goes. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. See ya. Bye bye.